It's been extremely nice weekend so far. I've been swimming, I've been going on some fancy dinners and shit, and it actually made me realize, bro, my time actually didn't pay for this villa, for this pool, for this beautiful scenery that I'm at, but actually my systems paid for it. Now, in this video, I'm going to explain exactly how you can do it with your business, so you pretty much stop being a slave of it, because we all, I'm sure, started our businesses to start living this type of lifestyle. Truth to be told, this is not my regular lifestyle, because obviously I need to be working, I need to be present, I need to train, place, and manage all these killer setters. But the reality is that at some point you start questioning, like, am I running a proper type of business where I'll be able to actually live this type of a lifestyle, because none of us want to become a slave of it. And like I've said, in this video I'm going to explain exactly how my time didn't pay for this sick villa with this sick pool in front of me, but my systems. And now what's the difference? The difference is that people nowadays, even though I'm sure you're already one of the best coaches or agency owners on the market, people think that working hard only is what pays. No, it's the system what pays. Why? Because no matter how hard you work, if you don't have the leverage, how can you actually stop being a slave of your business? Business will, in that case, run you. You will not run your business. Why? Because let's imagine I'm running some shitty, terrible type of business where, if I'm absent for 3 days, the systems go to hell, like no one knows what to do, no one is being within the KPIs, no one is hitting his SOPs and stuff, calls are not being booked. How will I be able then to actually go for these weekends away with my family, and how will I be able to live a proper life? I wouldn't, because then I would need to be able I would fucking need to be inside my business for like hours and hours and hours. And we're talking about 15, 16-hour works. Don't get me wrong, I'm still working like that. Working like that, but the thing is that at some point you get burnt out, because at the end of the day you're just a human, right? And in order for you to actually replace yourself from your business, not entirely of course, but so you can actually live a nice lifestyle, is by creating those systems I'm constantly talking about. Now, in order to make these systems work, you also need to be working with people who, don't have to be babysat. You can't be working with brain dead people. That's the first thing. And that's definitely one of the main things I start covering in my program whenever I start working with a new setter, because obviously I have hundreds and hundreds of them in my network, and those are the ones I train, place, and manage. And the single most important quality of all of those is that they're not brain dead. For example, right now, I'm not away for too long. I'll be away for maybe 3 or 4 days. But every single one of these setters inside the businesses that I'm working with has enough brain so they can actually execute on these, I'd say, orders that I gave them. For example, there's a business I just became a part of, and there's a course module within that business that setters need to go through. Hopefully you can hear me, because the plane is literally flying over my head, and I hope it's not gonna crash on me. But what I was saying is that within the business I just became a part of, there's a course module that setters need to go through. Like it's a must, and within those 2 or 3 days I'm expecting them to keep me updated with every single activity they do. Obviously, we're not going to be hopping on calls, but they will be going through those course modules where they need to familiarize themselves with the ICP of that new business, where they need to familiarize themselves with the openers that we're going to be using, and everything is literally done for them. Now, it's on those people with the brain power to actually execute it. And that's a system, because I managed to create a quick course module of like a couple of videos, send it to them, they're watching it, they're executing. And then, once I get back in about, I think it's actually tomorrow, in 2 days, sorry. When I get back in about 2 days, I'll be able to see if they executed on it or not. And also, Obviously, I'll be able to see it by their end of the day report, where they obviously need to let me know what went well, what went wrong, and so on and so on. Outreach has done, replies, you know the drill, pretty standard thing. But the main point is that you definitely want to be working with people who can execute on your systems, almost like that topic that I covered in, what was the video? How Alexander the Great taught us to run 50K a month business. You need an army that will be able to do and execute on your game plan, on your battle plan, per se. So, yeah, what I was saying is that once I get back, I'll be able to see if they did execute on it or not, you know, because I consider myself a leader. And in the next video, I'll definitely be talking about how starting to lead men helped me make way more money than I could have ever imagined, because it's not all about running a business, satisfying the clients and stuff. You also, like I've said, need to be working with the people that are on the same wavelength and that fully resonate with you and that fully share the same values with you. I like this terminology about battles and shit, and I genuinely love working with people who consider themselves warriors, because, you know, those are the guys that will be enjoying working with me. And ultimately, those are the exact same guys that will be able to execute on these systems that I'm going to be creating. So my life can be easier and their life can be easier. They're making money through setting. I'm helping them make, 3, 5K a month. I'm making my money, living a nice lifestyle. And it's a win-win situation. But without these systems, with you having to put hours and hours and hours of consistent work of your time, you won't be able to do so. You genuinely won't be able to do so, because a few videos ago I talked about how I built a prison for myself, maybe a year ago. And back then, yes, truth to be told, I was in Thailand. Yeah, I was traveling the world, but I wasn't actually. At this point, when I'm a year older, a bit more mature, I realized it was probably most of it for a fucking social media show off. You know, I wasn't actually enjoying it, because even in Thailand, there is a quick story. Everyone was on a sick steak dinner, everyone was having cigars, and then guess what I had to do? I had to get back home in our villa to fucking hop on a closing call. And the worst thing about it all, the guy didn't even show up. So I was a mad slave of my business, I can't lie. And only today I can confidently say that I'd say managed to escape it. Why? Because of these systems. You know, like I said earlier, my time didn't pay for all of this. My systems did. Because without those systems, I wouldn't be able to get for a second out of my business, because it would collapse. It would collapse, and yeah, where would I be? I would be nowhere, you know. And I also wanted to talk about how my setters actually do these sales without me, you know, because it's essential for them, like I said earlier, to use their own brain power and their own intuition into setting these calls. So obviously, there's like an onboarding period whenever I start working with setters, because every business has its own KPIs, every business has its own SOPs, target audience. Every business owner at the end of the day has his own values that you need to represent, because, you know, you need to be, like I said, working with people who exactly represent your values. And through that onboarding process, you understand how to handle all of these. And with combining it with the brain power that I explained about earlier, your setters constantly just start handling these people, because taking action is the key to learning. We can all put it in theory, but action is where they learn. No amount of raw action can make up, no amount of theory can make up for the raw action that you take with these specific leads. And as you're going through them, you start understanding. And if your setters are killers like mine, if you're a killer like I am, in the sense of managing and being able not only to transfer knowledge, but lead from the front, because there is a huge and super important quality of managers that is for some reason lacking nowadays. They all think, oh yeah, I know so much, blah, blah, blah. No, but it's not even about that. It's about how able are you to transfer that knowledge onto your guys, because you need to lead from the front. You need to show the examples. And in that onboarding process, when my setters start handling all these prospects, when they start doing their magic in sales, I like to show them my examples. Not only that I supervise them, they also watch me doing it in real time through these conversation reviews, through role plays, whatever. And then they start executing. And that's the point where it gets to like, oh shit, I don't even need to be here anymore. I need to be here only to see and track their progress if they're constantly being like on point with their goals, with the call bookings, with classic things, KPIs, SOPs, you know the drill, I mentioned it a few times already. But I don't need to babysit them anymore because they know how to do it. And it all comes from my ability to be able to, it all comes from my ability to provide them with that. To provide them with the right amount of support at that very beginning, so I don't need to be there constantly 24/7 later down the line. And they just do it, and do it. And that's a system as well. That's a leverage, because time is way more valuable than anything else. Time is, I think, your most valuable asset that you have, because what we discussed at the beginning of this video, you started this business to become a CEO of it. You know, so you can live a life where you're like, yeah, bro, I'm a business owner, you know, I'm making 6-7 figures. But even if you're making 6 or 7 figures, 8 figures even, if you're not able to spend it on your family, on yourself, on nice dinners, on, I don't know, cigar nights that I've just had yesterday, like, what's the purpose of it? Because I always think about it. I'm a semi-pro football player. And it was always my dream to become a pro, you know. And only now when I'm like 22 almost, in about a few months, I realize, shit, these guys are having loads and loads of cash, but they are not actually able to properly spend it, because these players are playing fucking 6-7 competitions a year, and they are never free to spend it with their family. They're traveling the world, yes, sounds all fancy, but it's all work. And they are like multi-million slaves, I'd say. Or is that even a word? They're millionaires, but slaves, I'd rather to say. And they're literally being used by these presidents to fucking make even more than that. But the whole point is that I realized, yeah, maybe I don't want to become a pro anymore, because that's not the type of lifestyle I want to be living. I want to be living this type of lifestyle where I'm able to fucking travel wherever I want, whenever I want, while my systems are still printing loads and loads of cash. Truth to be told, for myself, the month's not going that good as it was last month, but for my clients, still is. I mean, just recently I signed a client that's doing 400K a month. He wanted me to become his manager, so in reality, you could say it's going good, but I'm not satisfied. But anyways, create systems. I'd say invest your time in the things that will pay you later. Do these things right now and make them pay you later. Recently, before I went away for this trip, I recorded a few course modules, I made some systems, I shared it with my boys, they started executing on it, and now I'm able to chill because these systems are going to pay me. Hopefully you managed to hear me, because again, there's a plane literally flying above my head. But anyways, yeah, I'm about to take a swim, I'm about to have a nice lunch in about 2-3 hours, and yeah, life's good. Thanks for watching, boys, and keep smashing it.